What's going on, everybody? Tonight, me and my boy Rennie G, we're going to do something a little bit different, if you would. We're kind of flying as a duo this evening. Hope you guys like it, man. This is something that Ren and I, we're passionate about, man. We back when COVID first hit, just to kind of catch you guys up. Cheers. Um,
Hmm. You
there
already
was no
know.
new TV on. There was no movies. Sports was gone. You know what I'm saying? So the two of us sat down and we were like, "Yo, what let's find something." And so we actually got started on Dark Knight's Metal, you know what I'm saying, and read through all of that and kind of moved into collecting. And for him it was a rehash, it was something that he had done previously. For me it was all brand new, you know what I'm saying. I had never collected
Right.
comic books before, I'd never done anything with it. So um for me it was a new endeavor, and it has turned into a hobby. Sometimes a little more than what I choose to
Yeah,
admit.
you in it now. You in it.
But I'm in it, you know what I'm saying? So what we're gonna do for you guys
Oh,
this evening, man, is we're gonna kind of preview stuff that's actually gonna be coming out next week. So these comics should be hitting your local comic book stores on the 22nd of February. We're gonna give you what we're reading. I mean, we're not gonna go into great detail on a bunch of stuff that we have no interest in. You know what I'm saying? So there's some stuff that he's reading that I'm not. There's some stuff that I'm reading that he's not. So the way that we'll wind up doing this once we get rolling with it, man, is we can kind of just give you a recap and then tell you what we're looking at and kind of go from there. So this one I am not reading. This one is actually all my man Ren here, and that would be
what
Strange
you got? What you got?
Academy Finals. What's this, number 4, if I'm not mistaken? Um, Both of us are huge Scotty Young fans, but I'm not reading this one. This one's 100% on Ren. He's been reading it since day one, so I'll kind of turn things over to him and let him kind of go from there.
So with Strange Academy, if you're not on this, you're probably gonna miss out on a really good story. The artwork is crazy. Who was that? Ramos doing the artwork, but Scotty's doing the story. So it's kind of like Harry Potter meets, you know, Marvel X-Men type of stuff. So Strange got his school. The kids are in there learning their magic, blah blah blah, and they're just going through like regular kid stuff, but at the same time they're dealing with learning their abilities and things of that nature. So to me, it's really cool because I'm a huge Marvel fan, or I was growing up, and then I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. And as odd as that might seem, so this was a perfect story for me to get into. And then, like he mentioned, like I'm a big like Scotty fan. Like when I brought it to his attention, like it was just casual conversation, and then he went way left with it. So, um, yeah, he's probably gotten past me in terms of fandom, but he is one of my favorite artists. So anything that Scotty put out, I'm probably gonna like at least entertain for a certain amount. Like very few things that he puts out, I'm like, oh, that's just for me. But Strange Academy is definitely, it's fun. The artwork is good. The story's good. And it's easy. It's light. It's not like you gotta like know all this crazy backstory. I mean, you know who Strange is. You know who like the Scarlet Witch is. Doctor Voodoo, which when Halloween comes up, I'll probably dress up as that guy. But it's definitely worth the read. So I would definitely take a look at it if you can get your hands on it. Grab a trade if you don't want to go through the singles. But it's definitely dope. Go ahead and grab it. If you don't like it, send it to E because I don't think he's caught up on it. So yeah, it's dope.
And the crazy part about it is that the Omni for it dropped what, back during Christmas, if I'm not mistaken, for that
Dude, the
first portion
artwork
of
is
it.
crazy, man. Like
Yeah, I
crazy,
mean,
crazy.
Ramos is a hell of an artist to begin with. Yeah, he's come into his own with some of the stories that he's told. He's kind of stepped back from some of the artwork piece, and he's really gotten heavy into the writing. And Strange Academy, from what I understand, there's a huge daggone character, like uh as far as like one of the covers is like impossible to find right now because it's, I don't know, man. It has, the cover is one of these ones, man. It has like this old like London type fog feel to it. It's some dude with like a gas lamp head or something like that,
Oh,
man.
yo, he's ill, dude. Like, dude is dope. Basically, he's your pusher man. Like, he's on the street, like, yo, you want your dreams, you want this stuff taken care of. Yeah, here's a little sample of it. Just like you would on the block, like, yeah, try that out. Let me know what you think. And then by the time you come back, you're like, yo, I need more of that. Like, hook that up. And that's what he's doing. So he kind of like maneuvers his way, kind of, whispering, certain kids' ear, like who's not like, the typical like MO man, like boy feels whatever, needs a reason. The pimp, turns him out, and then now he's out there slanging stuff, and it's dope. Like you gotta read it, man. Like the way Scotty, because you could tell Scotty's a hip hop dude too.
Oh
He's
yeah.
not just like an artist or like he's like in the comic books. Like dude is a hip hop dude. So and I always tell you, like that's a cat. Like just from listening to him talk, like he could have hung out with us back in the day.
Right. Just like listening to us on his live streams, the music that he's playing in the background is all stuff that we would have listened to or did
Yeah,
listen. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So
So
I don't know, man. One of those ones, man, that I keep saying to myself, I need to start it. I need to start it. I need to start it.
I told
And
you a
every
long
time I
time
do,
ago.
you try to get me on it early. But I mean, just like anything else, man. Like I got a stack of books sitting over here right now that I
But
still got
dude,
to
it's
get
on the
through.
app. Like
So
read it at lunch at
I
work. Like
know,
you're
but
killing yourself, man. How you think I
it's
read it? I got every single, but ask me how I read all of these issues.
I, but you know how I
The
am,
app.
man. I gotta have it in my
No,
hands,
I
bro. I
get
gotta
it.
have
I
it in my
get it. But
hands.
you know, the beauty of the app is you can get it, stash it, keep it for your collection, and you don't have to touch it. Like you don't have to worry about
Right.
fingerprints or dents or creases, or if you
All
roll
right
over, like
now.
you fall asleep and drool on it, like use the app. It's there. That's what I do.
Right.
I'm a big
All right,
fan of the
so
app. Thank you, by the way.
you're welcome. All right, so we're gonna slide into the next one, man. And this one I think both of us are actually reading. This
Yeah.
is the Amazing Spider-Man. This is number 20, if I'm not mistaken, coming up now. Um, I got the Stormbreakers cover up here. That's the
Mhm.
one that I'm trying to get my hands on. You know what I'm saying? It's not very difficult to find the covers that we're going to put up. I will say that none of the stuff that I put up will be ratioed as far as the variants are concerned, because those tend to be and can be a little bit more pricey. So when you guys go into your LCS and you're talking to them, look, man, if you become a cover guy, like I was in the store, man, the other day, and the guy comes in and he had a stack, man. Like I promise you, Rennie, man, it was probably about 50 or 60 books. And I
Mhm.
was like, do you pick up? Like, I was asking him, I was like, do you pick up once a month, man? He was just like, maybe twice a month I come in and pick up my books. I was like, how much
Right.
of that are you actually reading? He's like, probably about 4 or 5 of them. He was like,
Huh?
I'm a hoarder for like he specs a lot of books. So he's like getting first appearances. He's getting, like that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I said, I'm a little bit like you, but I'm not that far, you know what I'm saying, where I'm only
Right.
buying books because it's a number one or something like that. But Amazing Spider-Man's been decent, man. Like there's a couple of different Spider-Man titles that are out right now. Um, this one to me has been, I'd say, probably my favorite. I mean, I'm reading this one. I dropped the one where it was the end of the Spider-Verse or something like that. It didn't really grab me.
Right. It's too
The
much,
Lost
man.
Hunt. Yeah, I mean, some of the storylines, man, like I don't mind. I'm glad that we're off of the dark web. Whatever. I didn't like that, man. It just
Yeah.
too much going on. And that's the one complaint that I will say honestly that I come across with Marvel. And you guys will hear me say it whenever we talk about Marvel. Like whenever they have an event, they spread it across way too many titles, man. Like it doesn't make any sense for me to
Yeah,
have to
like
buy
there's no
six
way.
additional titles just to be able to get the entirety of the story. So
And half
in
the time
cases
them
like that,
tie-ins are not even like that dope, man. Like the whole remember the Devil's Range? Like you could
they
have
got
you
you on
could
that
have
one.
gone way past like avoided all of those tie-ins. The joints were terrible.
They got you
But
on that one. But like I said, man, like the whole the dark web thing, I like the concept behind it. And that's the thing I think that kind of pisses me off a little bit. And we'll kind of talk about another event that's going on right now here in a little bit. But um I like the concept of Ben being out there pissed off at Peter because you know what I'm saying, he took his memories and all that other kind of stuff,
right.
and he winds up in like this side world and stuff like that. He gets this staff and he takes over and he causes holy hell to break loose.
Right.
but the execution was just horrible, man. Like, I'm not reading 5 and 6 different books just to be able to get a story. In a case like that, you lose me. And then I'm like, oh, I'll just read it when the trade comes out. And you know what winds up happening? I don't buy the trade. It just,
Because
I
it's
don't
too much.
understand the concept behind it, man. Like, if you're gonna have a crossover event, what was the one with Thor and
The
Hulk,
Hulk.
Banner War, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, 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 yeah. That
That
was a
one was
weird
good.
story,
2 titles. That's all you had to do.
right?
2
But it was
titles.
still a
That's
weird
perfect.
like storyline, man. Like, and I'm a huge Hulk
Yeah.
fan, but that storyline kind of like I don't know how I felt about it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either.
Well, I'm curious and kind of getting off topic a little bit in regards to just like what we're currently reading, but Donnie Cates is now off of the Hulk book.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure what happened, but he is completely and totally off that book. So I'm curious to see where it goes from here. Because the
Right.
artwork's been solid on it, you know what I'm saying? But it's just, the story. I couldn't grasp it. I didn't understand like what in the hell was going on. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I find myself like that with a lot of Marvel books right now. Like, we were talking the other day about the X-Men
True
series.
that.
I don't know what the hell's going on in X-Men. I keep buying it because I'm like, it's sooner or later it's got to tie together. And then I read the next issue and I'm like, the hell am I still reading this for? You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I'm gonna tell
So
you why you keep buying it because they're they're banking on the nostalgia of what we grew up on. Like most people can identify with X-Men from our era.
mhm.
It's like for me, like that's one of the first comic books I read was X-Men. So like I'm
Right.
prone to like subscribe to everything that they do, whether it's good or bad. And this current run, like outside of Powers of X and House of X or 10, whatever you want to call it, like this one is kind of like I don't know where they're going. Like the art's dope, but the storylines all over the place. Like E said, you got to tie in here, read that. I I don't know. Like he said, I've got them all. Like that run is complete, but I couldn't tell you one single thing in that storyline. Like, go get it. Like I can't endorse it yet. So one of these days, I'm just gonna sit down and start at House of X, and then just kind of get caught up officially because I don't know. I didn't dig it. Same thing. I felt the same with Wolverine. Like, and that's one of my favorite characters of all time. I'm like, this ain't cutting it for me, man. But I mean, you're reading that, so
Yeah, I'm still on Wolverine. They've got a new person kind of writing it, and you know what I'm saying. So I'm digging what they're doing right now with it, and we'll talk about Wolverine on another day. But
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I kind of feel where they're going with it right now. Next issue, these next 2 issues, the one that just dropped this week, and then the one that'll drop next month. Those should be pretty good. All right, so moving right along, man. The next one
Yeah,
that we
let me know how
have
those
coming
go.
up here is one that I'm reading that Rennie's not, but this is kind of one of those things where I've been saying the same thing to him about this one that he's been saying to me about Strange Academy and as Batman Superman World's Finest. Dude, when I tell you that they have done a phenomenal job with this storyline where each individual comic could almost be a story like independent, like just a bunch of one shots,
Right.
but somehow, some way, they're still able to bring the story together so that it's still cohesive with everything else that happened.
Mhm.
A lot of what happened in World's Finest wound up rolling over into the Batman versus Robin joint that had dropped. You know what I'm saying? With the Lazarus Planet, and it was a
Yeah, I
direct
remember you telling
tie-in
me.
with the Robin, the direct tie-in with World's Finest. The Batman. So it was just they've done a really, really good job with it. Wade is the
Right.
writer on it. And really, to be honest with you, man, the only reason why I picked this up to start off with was because one of our favorite artists, Dan Mora, was the one that was actually doing the artwork. Now he's still doing the covers, and
So,
he does occasionally come back in and actually do issues. But just his artwork alone is what made me initially pick this book up. And it's one of those ones where, like I said, they are bringing in multiple characters from multiple different things. I mean, Teen Titans was on not too long ago, and Robin's been in there, and Batman and Superman, of course, have been in there, and
Right.
You know, you've seen a little bit of the Justice League here, and Flash. I mean, it's just they've done a really good job of like having a guy drop in, and then
Mhm.
he was there for that issue. So definitely one of the ones that I would tell you that when it does come out in some sort of a trade, or if one of us happens to get the DC joint, you know what I'm saying, it's probably worth catching up on, because it's the writing is really, really done well. It
One of
moves the story along,
that
you know
was
what
a
I'm
hint.
saying? So
That was
it won't no
a
hint.
light
It won't
nudge.
no hint. We got way
I was,
too much stuff going on in our life.
I was like, yo, I got one, you get the other. Yo, what are you doing? I got you. I got you. I'm on it. I'm on it.
Nah, look, I'm telling you right now, dude, I could barely get on the app to read on the ones that I have right now. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I
but
got
no,
you.
I would definitely tell anybody, man, like if you're looking for just a story, like you don't have to have, kind of like what you were saying with Strange Academy, you don't have to have a whole lot of background, man, because it just jumps into a story. Here's
Right.
Batman, here's Superman, here's what's going
Oh,
on. It doesn't dive back into how Superman came here. It doesn't dive
right.
into how Batman became Batman. It's here's two superheroes that you're familiar with. They're joining up, and this is what's going on. So, if you need a comic man to jump on, I would definitely tell you this is one that you can jump in and pick up and be able to kind of just read and just roll right with it. So, um,
I am glad that you picked it up because as I was reading another series, you mentioned it. What is it, Batman and Robin? Like I'm reading it and I'm like, man, I must have missed something. Like I don't know, so I'm immediately like, E, what is going on with Joy? And you were able to tell me because you had that background. So I appreciated you having that, in the stable in the stash, ready to like at least let me know some background stuff, which is cool. So I'll probably
yeah,
pick it
the
up in
whole
the trade
devil
up. We get the app.
the devil sequence, man. That dude, he was
Yeah, he's
crazy.
crazy. He's crazy.
So like we've been talking to you guys now about like stuff that's just, nostalgic for us. Things that we grew up on, um, and why we do what we do and stuff like that. And this one here, man, like it's not for everybody.
Oh
It,
yeah.
it, it really isn't. You know what I'm saying? But this is Gargoyles number 3. Um, the first 2 books have been, it's like watching an episode of Gargoyles from the 90s. It's very light. It's a quick, easy read. They're not trying to be anything more than what they already are. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It would help if you had a little bit of background in Gargoyles, as far as the show was concerned. Shameless plug, it is on Disney Plus. So if you ever wanted to go back and rewatch it before you started reading this, you could. Um, but it kind of picks the story up where the cartoon left off. And because of that, the everything that's going on with the comic is sort of related to the cartoon itself, but it's just, I mean, it's just an easy, good, clean comic to read. You know what I'm saying? Is it going to be on anybody's top 10 list? I doubt it. Is it going to be something where people are fawning over making sure they get
Right.
this and get that? No. It is a money dive though, because if you are a cover fiend, they have 15, 20 covers that drop for like every single issue. So I mean, it's one of those ones where you read it, and if you grew up watching Gargoyles, which we did, you know what I'm saying? I mean, hell, my first dog was named after the dog in
Yep.
Gargoyles, you know what I'm saying? So it's just
Story.
one of those ones, man, where I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, because I picked that one up. I came this close, dog, this close to picking up that Darkwing Duck.
I wouldn't even
Just
have
to see what
blamed
it was
you. Like
about.
I'd have been like, go ahead and get it. Um, you mentioned that to me, like you were like, yo, Ren, I'm reading this. And it didn't even really dawn on me until I actually saw the cover. And then, like you said, for nostalgia's sake, like I'm like, damn, like he's right. Like if I look at Gargoyles, the first thing I thought of was Bernie's Court. So like y'all are seeing this for the first time, but like that's my guy. Like we grew up together, and I remember just riding up the street or walking up the street, knocking on his door or opening the door, or in like rare cases, putting a ladder to the window and climbing up to unlock the door my damn self. That's a whole different conversation. But Gargoyles reminds me of Bernie's Court, like just sitting in the sofa, we all just kicking it, watching a cartoon, and it was a good
Dude,
time
I
for me.
recorded them on VHS.
So what I'm saying,
I
so like
recorded
it's not
them.
just a comic book for me. It's almost like a
What it stands for.
Right. It's like a soundtrack almost to like our youth and us kicking it. So I was gonna read it regardless, but I'm glad you brought it to my attention because I would have probably missed it until like issues later, and then I had to go back and hunt it down. So it
Yeah,
reminds
we
me
don't want
of
that kind
better
of
days
madness
to
in
say
your
the
life.
least. Say what?
So we don't want that kind of madness in your life.
No, 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 but I'm glad I got it though. It is fun. The artwork is very reminiscent of the show. It puts you right back in that time zone. So I like it. So if you
Yeah, it's pretty.
want to
It's
get
it's
some,
dope, man. Like I said,
yeah,
again, not at the end of the year, you're not going to hear anybody talking about that one as far as their top 10 comics of the year. You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't
But
care. It's
from
good for me.
a good, clean, fun, you know what I'm saying, comic to read, man, it's pretty dope.
Yeah, I dig it.
Now talk about good, clean, fun, and then moving right into the next one. And I think both of us are actually reading this one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But um, it's a Tommy. Um, I have been feeling this one. Like I like this one a lot, you know. The art at first wasn't something that really jumped out at me. It kind of just was like, okay, here it is. You know what I'm saying? Take it or leave it.
Right.
But it, like a couple of other ones that you and I have read over the course of the last few years, the artwork fits the story. It
Hmm.
doesn't need to be this gigantic epic. It just fits what they're trying to do with the story.
Right.
And you got and this is based off of a true story. You know what I'm saying? As far as um a black samurai. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And this one, to be honest with you, man, like when I first read through the whole setup of what they were trying to do with it, um again, we talk about our youth, man. This is kung fu flicks, man, on a Sunday. I mean, it's a samurai flick, man. It's Samurai and Cub. I mean, it's the stuff that we watched. And the crazy part
Right.
about it was we weren't really trying to watch those daggone shows. We were trying to figure out where Wu-Tang was getting their drops from. You know what I'm saying? And just to be able to say that we watched what they used on a sample led us
Right.
down, you know what I'm saying, that path. But I've been very impressed with the way that they've done this series, man. Like, you are hitting on a little bit of a historical moment. Um, but they're telling the story on their own, you know what I'm saying? And it's a reimagination, if you would, of the fact. And it's funny because I watched the animated series that came on Netflix
Hmm.
um with this, and it was good. Like I enjoyed it. So when I found out that this was coming out, I jumped on it, and I think they've done a really good job with the story itself. I think they've done a really good job making sure that the pacing, if you would, is like just enough to be able to see this young girl grow into what she wants to be, which is a samurai, being trained by the person that she's trying to eventually avenge her family on. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Right.
So it's just the concept, man. It's dope to me.
Yeah, it was another one, another recommendation by E. Like I don't know how we got to this point where the student surpassed the teacher. So, and I'm no teacher by any stretch of the imagination, but I just remember early on, I'd be like, "E, check this out." They'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, chill out. Like I got to read like these two comics that I have on my desk first. Don't bother me with more of your crap." And now it's like, "E, what's coming out?" Like, so we totally switched roles there, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna pick this up," and he started telling me about it. So I got into it a little late. I think the second issue
I
was
think
out.
it
Oh, he
was
had
two or
already had
three
it when he
issues
told
in.
me. Yeah,
Mhm.
he had already told me. I was like, "Well, all right, man. Like, if my dude says check it out, I'm gonna check it out because he's not nitty." So I got the first one, and like you said, the artwork it was okay. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is like the greatest masterpiece of visual representation. But it was a cool concept. Like, Shorty's like, yo, my people's got murked and I'm gonna go figure out how to return the favor. So she's going through the travels and meeting people and she's trying to flex on cats, but she doesn't really know what she's doing. And she bumps into dude and he's like, I don't know about teaching you, but then you know how this is gonna go. He's gonna feel a certain type of way, and I'm sure he's gonna teach her. So I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm enjoying it now. Like the first, issue kind of, it's like, not bad, but whatever. But then the second one, I was like, okay, let's check this out for sure. It's
Yeah,
good.
it's progressed. It's progressed. I mean,
Yeah,
it's definitely. I don't like comics that rush the story.
right.
If you have 12 issues to tell a story, if you're doing just a mini series and you have 12 issues to tell that story, you need to be able to tell the story in 12 issues. If you
For
needed
sure.
16, you should ask for 16. Don't try and jam it all in, like that pisses me off more than anything else in the world where,
Right.
it's like and then don't wait 4.5 months until you drop the next one. Nice House on the
That
Lake,
irks me.
Berserker. Like there's some stories out
Right.
there that are fire, and then you pick up the book and you're like, I don't remember what the hell happened in the
I
last
don't know
issue. The
what
last issue
happened.
came out before
I gotta
Christmas.
go
You know what I'm
back and
saying?
reread
So
the joint. That
digging
irks
through the
my
crates
life.
trying to find the book, but
Yeah.
telling a good story, I'm more likely to give you that time to be able to develop that story, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
Which will kind of lead us into the next one that I'm going to go into. But no, they've done a solid job with it, man. Like it's been really good so far. I'm curious to see where they're going to finish up with this arc. You know what I'm saying, and how many issues this will actually continue on with. Um, so kind of talking about, hey, Ren, have you seen this? Hey, you're going to pick up this. Um, about a year or so ago, we talked about Geiger, and it was one of the
Mhm.
ones where both of us were kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna check out that first issue and I'm gonna see what it's like. And then the story was just dope. You know what I'm saying? And by the end of it, they had actually released a couple of different characters called the Unnamed, and one of those characters was a character by the name of Junkyard Joe. And I will tell you right now, out of everything that I am currently reading, this may be the best comic book that I'm reading right now,
Word.
hands down.
So is that Joe right
Hands,
there, or is this an
that's
android?
Joe
Like
right there.
he's an
So
android robot, or
yeah,
because I don't
so
know the.
essentially what happened is the backstory is that you have a group of guys in Vietnam, and while they are in Vietnam, they are behind enemy lines or something like that, and they have this guy that comes in, and he initially you can't tell that he's a robot, and straight Terminator stuff, you know what I'm saying? So but he's protecting everybody and he's constantly on watch and he's constantly doing this, and he doesn't talk, he doesn't say much of anything. um and then this big huge fight happens and you wind up finding out that he is a robot. Then you flash forward, and one of the individuals that actually survived, or actually I believe the lone survivor of, if I'm not mistaken, an attack that they all were a part of, um he wound up, when he got out of the military, you find out that he wrote a comic strip called Junkyard Joe, and
Mhm.
it was the story of a group of military men and a robot that came in. You know what I'm saying? And so it was like a Sunday comic. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just a
Right,
comic
right,
strip. It
right,
wasn't like an actual physical comic like
right.
what we're talking about. And then
Short
Joe
circuit.
shows up on his doorstep one day, and he had just lost his wife. He was retiring from doing the comic. And it's just one of these things where, like, during each one of the issues, it kind of builds on the suspense level, and then a little bit more of the suspense and a little bit more of the suspense, to the point where you get to the end of the book and you're like, damn, I gotta wait a month until the next one comes out.
Mhm.
The story itself, it moves at the same pace that Geiger did. It does just enough to grab hold of you and pull you in, and then go, haha, sucker, now you gotta wait until next month.
Yeah,
You know
Geiger
what I'm
was dope,
saying?
man.
It's the exact same type of writing. It's the exact same type of artwork. I'm not sure about some of the other unnamed, you know what I'm saying? But if
Mhm.
they do it anything like what they're doing with this one,
Right.
I'm on board for it. And the other thing that I do like, and I definitely want to say thank you to Jeff Johns and Image on this one. Um, Thank you for not releasing all of the unnamed books at the same time and then making me choose which one I want to read. Like this is the
Like
only
X-Men.
one that's out right now. You know exactly. This is the only one that's out right now. But I will tell you that 5 issues in, man. Um, I haven't read this week's issue as of, or next week's issue as of yet, of course. But when I come home from the comic book store and I stack my books up, I go through and put them in the order that I'm going to read. And ever since that first issue, this has always been the one that's on top. This is the one that if I don't read anything else the day that I come home from the LCS, this is going to be the one that I'm going to read. So if you haven't checked it out, man, I highly recommend it. Definitely. I don't know what we're going to term it or anything along those lines, but your favorite neighborhood homies, it's a thumbs up from this one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we got to come up with something for that, man. Like that's our little spiel.
definitely recommend that one. If you guys have noticed something though, like some of the books that we have in here, it's not all superheroes, man. Like comic books is not what it used to be. I'm almost
done with superheroes, man. Like I'm appreciating like a different idea altogether. Right, like I know Batman, I know Spider-Man, I know Hulk, I know Doctor Doom, I know the Fantastic Four. I like just a brand new, clean slate. This a brand new adventure for me. And as an old cat, like our joys are like far and few between bills and work and stuff. So like a good story is very much appreciated. So I'm definitely more of an indie guy now, as opposed to when I was growing up. I still am a huge Batman fan. He's my favorite character of all time. And a huge X-Men fan. But aside from that, which I'm kind of like well versed in, I think the indie stuff has been like really like mind blowing to me, man. Like just the way they're taking these stories and having these, new, different, exotic worlds, and the artwork is complements it. It's very refreshing for an old cat, like just to be like, man, like I feel like a kid again, just like excited about the next story or the next adventure, as opposed to, all right, Professor X is gonna be like, yo, y'all go kick the shit out of them dudes and report back we're having dinner at 6. Or Batman be like, Penguin, cut the shit. And then back in the Batcave telling Alfred to give him some buttermilk. But I just like the whole new the vibe of the indie stuff. So everything that I've seen so far that we've picked up, and we'll probably talk about it the more we talk about comics, you'll start to see where we kind of just reside. Yeah.
Yep. And it's funny because you say that, and it brings us right into Once Upon a Time at the End of the World.
That's just dope to me, man.
Yo, like
that was
at
crazy.
First I was like,
what was he in a hotel or building? Like he was
like a condominium, man. Like
my
just
man was
huge
chilling.
Building. He was chilling.
Why is he so happy? With calamity all over the place. Like he seems like a happy dude. Shorty out there pissed off.
What I do is I go on and I look at everything that's dropping in a week. And if there's anything that says number 1 next to it, I look to see what it's about.
Yeah, thank you for that.
And this is no problem. This is one of those ones where when I read exactly what they were talking about, I was like, yo, man, that's like an ill concept, man. Like, like I don't know how else you can put it's 2.5 paragraphs, you know what I'm saying, of information about what they want. It's the solicitation. Here, read our stuff. Yeah. And it's just like one of those things where it's like, yo, like I don't know I've never read anything, or I've read stuff from Jason Aaron before, so that was one of the things that kind of pulled me in, you know what I'm saying. Nick Dragata does the post, if you would, like the stuff in the future, right. And to be able to see like what they've gone through, these 2 kids, man, and it's this post-apocalyptic world, and every corner that you turn around, it's not zombies or anything along those lines. It's just we don't know what happened to the world. All we know is that it ended. You know what I'm saying?
No more.
And you got this one chick who is hell bent on the fact that she is a survivor, and you got a dude that, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, man, if she would have never showed up on his daggone doorstep, he would have died in that daggone hotel. Yeah, everything that he needed. The Joker's out there with cartoons, and it was crazy because like in that first issue, man, like when he finally left, she told him to bring some stuff. She's got this like little small backpack, a knife. This Joker is out here with everything that he can possibly fit on his daggone back, and then some. I mean, it's like ridiculous. Right, exactly.
With a duffel bag full of crap.
Again, the story. the
Yeah,
story, the story, the story. And that's the one thing with the indies is that they do a good job of selling their story, man. Like I this one right here is one of those ones again where I'm glad I picked it up. I can
yeah.
see this eventually turning into a show that shows up on Amazon Prime or something that
Mhm.
gets picked up on Netflix or something along those lines, just because
Possible.
they like that kind of stuff, and it's solid, man. It's a solid issue.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Dig
speaking
it.
of number ones, and I doubt very
Yeah.
seriously that my man jumps on this one because it's not his boy. Um, Superman number one, man. Dawn of DC is upon us, and they're kind of, I don't want to say that they're rebooting things, but I think that with everything that's going on in DC, and big shout out to Jorge Jimenez, one of my favorite artists out there. I specifically, like, I'm reading Nemesis not because of Millar on the writing, but because Jorge's doing the artwork. And that one, I mean, we haven't talked it, but if you're not reading Nemesis right now, dude, you need to jump on Nemesis. Nemesis is dope. That is a
Man, I got a
dope
stack of
comic.
books behind me. I'm way behind. I can't be added, dude.
um, I'm It's Superman, dude. It's a number one. It's a rehash, if you would. It's bringing the story back. It's, that kind of stuff. And so for me, man, I'm more likely to give a number one a shot than Rennie is, especially if it's not something that he is overtly interested in whatsoever.
Yeah, true story.
So with that being said, I will
Never
read
been
this
told.
and he'll say, how is it? If I tell him, and this is just one of those things, man, where like he knows what I like, I know what he likes. So if I tell him that it's something that he should probably pick up, he'll pick it up. If I
Yeah, for
tell
sure.
him I like it, but you're not going to enjoy it, he's going to keep it moving. Again, if you are a cover fiend, I want to say there is, I don't know, man, 20 some odd covers for this one coming up. Some of them are exclusive, some of them are um variants, ratioed variants. One of my Another one of my favorite ones, and I think you and I actually got all of his um Robin covers, if I'm not mistaken. But DeMeo actually has a cover
Okay, dope.
on this one coming up. And he has an ill way of just putting stuff down, dude. You know what I'm
Yeah, that's
saying? Like
dope.
the S in the
Yeah,
background, you know what I'm saying? But
that's
again,
fresh.
though, when you look at something like this, you go, yo, that's fire. And then you figure out that it's like a ratio to 25. You know what I'm saying? So if you want that one, you're gonna
You
wind
better
up
get
paying a
on
little bit
eBay
more
or
for that
whatnot.
joint.
You better go find it. For me, it's
So
easier for me not to like take a risk on something because ever since we were little, like I'll give you this prop. Like you can tell a good story, be like you'll start from the beginning, you'll give all the major points in between and the ending. And by the time you get to that point, it's like, I need to read it. You just told me the whole thing. So I'll let you do that. That's what you're good at.
well, and if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have any background on this one's going on. Now, both of us are reading The Punisher, but I have
This
not been
shit is
reading any of the
dope
war
to me.
journals.
You got to read the war journal. Not that it's like mandatory for like the
Required.
actual
Right.
right. It's not required, but because like the actual run that's going on right now is to me it's really dope because
Oh
it's
yeah.
a different aspect of the Punisher. Like it's not like about his wife and his kid, and he goes around and he's murdering people. Like now it's like he's like almost like this ninja, like savior, like being in that whole realm. So he's held at a higher level, and it's not like he's just killing. Like it's really intricate. The artwork is dope. It is gory. It is brutal.
It's
It's
Punisher.
Punisher. It's Punisher,
And
right?
neither one of us wanted to read this book. We picked it
No,
up on a spec because he changed the logo. So
right.
we're sitting around thinking, oh, we got to grab this because this is the last time that the original logo is going to be on a cover. And
Yeah.
then we both read it, and I'll never forget.
I
You
was like,
sent me a text. He was
oh
like,
snap.
"Yo, did you read the Punisher, yo?" And I was just like, "Ah." And he was just like, "No, read it, man." And And again, that's one of those ones where when Punisher comes out and you put your stack together, if he's not on top, he's one of those first ones to get read. So I haven't read any of the war journals though. When I found out that they were not required for the story, I kind of left
Right.
it alone.
Like he's not just a regular dude. Like there's some like mythical crap going on too.
Yeah, and the story in the Punisher, and I mean, when that one is up for a preview, man, you guys will get a good, clean, deep dive in that one. But that the whole I'm fighting a god and this, man, it's just
That shit was crazy. Like as soon as
some of the
Ares showed
daggone.
up, I was like, "Yo, that's his ass." Like there's nothing you could do. I don't care what kind of caliber weapon you have. Like I just didn't see that turning.
Hold my beer.
Right. I didn't think that was gonna be a good deal. And it's not like it's bad, but I ain't gonna ruin it for you. Like I read it.
Hold my beer.
Yeah.
So talking about guys that have a story, this is one that I'm reading. Ren's not reading this one. Nightwing to me is, I like the fact that they have kind of kept him independent of any of the storylines that have been going on. But it won't affect his comic. He'll show up in somebody else's comic, do what he has to do, and it has nothing to do with what's going on in his current run. I have been a big fan, and when it comes to Tom Taylor, man, like I like some of his stuff and some of his stuff I don't. Like he's one of those guys where it's, if he's got a book coming out, man, like I'll go into the LCS and I'll kind of flip through the pages, and if the artwork grabs me, then I'll kind of grab it and see what's up. But then the other stuff that he does, man, like I got no interest in. But him on this right here, man, like he's done a great job with his character. He's done a great job with Bloodhaven. He's done a great job with the villain. Like the villain from way back is still like who he's dealing with now, and it's just, he's done a really good job really diving into this specific character in the dealing with a lot of the after effects of Alfred dying, you know what I'm saying? And leaving his money to him, and he's turning everything around in Bloodhaven. He's been given an opportunity to go back to Gotham a couple times, and he's like, nah, this is my home now. So I will go down on record right now and tell you that the issue that they did, that was one continuous panel, may be the dopest thing I've ever seen in a comic book. You actually have people that have gone out and purchased the comic books so that they can actually have one long picture of nothing but that comic book. That the way that he actually did everything, man, like it was fire the way that they did it. But the story itself, man, it's a good story. The artwork is good. It's just clean art. It's not like super detailed or anything like that. But he's done a really, really good job with just taking care of that specific character, not worrying about anything else going on in the DC universe, and just handling that specific character and that story. And I've been impressed. I know it's not anything that you and we talked about this before. He's not a character that you too much care about, so it's not something that you're going to jump on. But it's been a really good read. Like this is one of the ones where I jumped on like issue 85, 80, 85 or something like that. Like I wouldn't mind going back and actually reading from one up, you know what I'm saying, just to kind of have the entirety of the story. Yeah, I mean I've had my hands on him, man, and I'm like, so. But speaking of a story that you get somebody that does a good job with the story, man, I not a fan, dude. Like I was excited for Lazarus Planet. Like I actually was gonna buy. Yeah, I don't like it, dude. It's just, so the way that they've done it is it's a bunch of one shots telling you what happened in multiple stories across multiple characters when the rain started falling.
See, that's why I don't be experimenting, man. Like that's how they get you.
Batman,
they give you a dope cover and then they give you that.
Batman hadn't been in a single issue. Robin ain't been in a single issue. I don't know what the hell's going on with them. When we left them, Batman's in Robin's arms. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And here we are a month later, dude, and I still don't know. I I have not been a fan, and I'm very, very disappointed in. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been some good stories across a couple of these issues. But I'm not giving you. I don't. You hype this thing up to be an event, and it's anything but. It's just a bunch of one shots.
That's why I'm leaning towards the indies, man.
It's
Because they
just a bunch of
they
one
kind of
shots,
don't let you
man.
down because it's brand new. Like, because right now you're speaking like someone who had expectations. I don't really have expectations
Right.
for like the indie stuff. It's like it's new. Let me see what happens. And if I'm impressed, it's like, oh, it's always like a welcome like change. Like I didn't expect that to happen. But when you look at something like that with that cover, that artist, that character, you're like, oh, this is about to be this ill thing of Bruce and blah blah blah. And then it's like Joe Chill shit. Like you don't, I don't know, man. Like I'll let you experiment. You tell me if it's good or not. And that right there told me enough
Well,
not to be bothered.
like I was seriously like I was gonna go all in on this one, man, because the Batman Robin joint wasn't dropping. So I was
Right.
like, or Batman versus Robin. So I was like, yo, I'll go ahead and I was gonna be spending money on that if it dropped anyway. So I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and pick this up and we'll go from there. And it just nah, nah, it just ain't doing nothing, man. Um, Before we jump off, man, I did want to, because I always do this to him. Have you seen the Disney 100 covers, man, that Marvel put out? So there's been two of them that are dropped so far, but there's one that's getting ready to drop, and it's on Amazing Spider-Man. So it's a book that we're reading. So it's not like you're going off kilter and picking anything up, but with Disney celebrating its 100th birthday, Marvel decided to go out and do takes on
That's
classic
cool.
covers, you know what I'm saying, but throw in Mickey and his friends, you know what I'm saying, kind of in a
That's
what
pretty cool.
if situation. So this is coming out, I want to say that's Amazing Spider-Man 23. Yes, 23. The other ones that have actually dropped recently, hold on one second here, they're okay. That one is good. I like that one. There's one coming up with Mickey as Iron Man. That one's a pretty dope cover. But all of these are kind of throwbacks to um, former or previous covers from Marvel. So they've done a decent job with some of them, but like I said, you I don't know, man. Like there was one that's supposed to be coming out, man. Like it's got Goofy on it or something like that. Not something that I'm really
You don't
too
seem
much looking
enthused
forward
at all.
to. You know what I'm saying? We'll kind of see what happens with that one, but I don't know, man. It's been interesting. So I mean,
I
they're
hope,
they're one of these
hope
books where down the line, man, just because they're Disney 100, it'll probably be something that maybe one day will be worth something. It won't be worth anything during my time frame. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
maybe down the line, when I'm dead and gone, my kids can sell it. And I don't know. Maybe it'll be worth something one day. But yeah, man. So look, we're gonna try and do this weekly, man.
Yeah,
One of
man.
the things that Ren and I used to do was we would sit down and we would like talk about like just different comics and what's coming out and things like that. And we're like, we can put this on the show, man. Like it's something we'd love to be able to give you guys the weekly comic book review. But honestly, man, I get my stuff the day it drops. Ren gets his stuff delivered later, so we can't.
Mhm.
We'd love to be able to. So how are we going to put our own spin on it? And our own spin is we're going to give you the preview show. Y'all tell us what we should be reading, though. If there's something that's
Yeah.
jumped out at you're saying, let us know, man. Just drop us a line, man. Tell us what the deal is, and then we'll take it from there. But hopefully you've taken something from what we put out for y'all today. Maybe it's something that you already had on your list. Maybe it's something that you're going to add to your list. Let us know what you think, man. As always, we want to thank y'all, man, for joining us. Um, Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, follow us on all of our social media, man. And with that, man, I'm gonna close things out. Rennie, what you got, man?
Just echoing what my man just said. We appreciate you taking the time to chill with us for a little bit. Um, here are two pennies, and just giving us an opportunity to share our ideas and our thoughts with you. So please tune into the Homie Trinity Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Homie Trinity Podcast. And we'll see you the next time. Appreciate you.
All right, everybody. Y'all take it easy, man. We'll be back next week with another preview show for y'all. Let us know what y'all are reading, man. Let us know what you're looking forward to coming out. Maybe it's something that, we'll review here on the show, man. Thank y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Yep. Peace.